pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Public participation, agendized items. Opportunity for public comment on agendized items will be provided only at the time they are addressed by the committee or board. Unagendized items. Opportunity for public comment on any other item of interest within the jurisdiction of the board will be provided only during the public input item, specifically for that purpose. Time limitations. Public comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker and 10 minutes for all speakers combined for the agenda item entitled consent items, and 3 minutes per speaker and 10 minutes for all speakers combined for each remaining agenda item. That brings us to item C is public input, and we have some request to speak cards. I'll go through these first. First one is Gretchen Fuller.
Thank you. I'm standing in front of you as a member of the public. As you know, we all wear many hats. Right now, standing here, I'm wearing a hat of a private citizen and an irrigation customer. Last year, I was talking to folks about what is our vision in this community for our future. What is our vision for our water in the future? We don't have a vision. We need to have a community gathering to come together and form a vision. NYWD does not have a vision. They don't have a vision statement. And I decided that I would like to bring the community together to formulate what our vision is. And then we can give it to the board. So there will be a meeting at the Alcove Center on October 16th from 6:30 to 7:30. Everyone is welcome to attend. I'm giving this as a private citizen. We will be talking about our vision for our water in our community and how that will contribute to the greater northern Yuba County community. Thank you.
Okay, next is Jenny Cavalier.
I think one of them is during the special meeting agenda, and the others were to address Manager Mock, and so is someone gonna be giving his reports?
I will be reading the report.
Okay, then I'll address you then at that time then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hold off that. Carol Cabral.
I'm here because I am continuing to have problems with the leaky ditch above my property. And I had called the office and reported it a couple of weeks ago, and I also went online and did one of the formal reports online to report that there was a problem. And I went up there this morning and there's still water leaking out of the ditch. We still have water coming onto our property from the ditch, I'm assuming, because there's nowhere else it'd be coming from. Normally you don't see it in the summertime, but this year we've had enough cold days already now that the water is reappearing back over on the BLM side of our property. And so I just wanted to come to the meeting tonight and see if you guys are aware that there is still water on each side of your pipes and that it's still leaking out. And my concern is that on one end of the ditch above our property, you can see water coming out of the pipe. You can hear water coming out of the pipe. You can see wetness all around the ground underneath of the pipe, but it's not puddling. It's not filling up the ditch. Then you go over to the other culvert, and where the other end of the pipe is, you can see water clearly standing about this deep on each side of the pipe. But it still hasn't risen to the level that there is on the other side. So I'm wondering, where's all this water going that's coming out of the ditch if it's not going on my property? It's not filling up the ditch. It makes sense to me that it's going underground and it's coming up above on my property, since I live at the base of the hill.
And Carol, didn't somebody come out today, but they cut down vegetation?
Yeah, there was a guy up there this morning, and I thought, oh, well, maybe he's up there to address it. So I waited a little while. I kept hearing a machine, and I thought, well, maybe there's sump pumping the water out of the ditch. But I went up there and I happened to meet the guy just as he was getting ready to come down, two of the guys in the service truck, and they said, oh, we were just weed eating, we're just clearing the weeds around the ditch. And I looked, and sure enough, one side of the grass and weeds that were this tall are cut down. And I thought, well, maybe he was doing it just so he could see the ditch and repair the ditch, but he said no, he was just maintaining weed.
Do you know what division you're in?
I believe I'm in 2.
2. Typically would be 3 or 4. And do you live in Dobbins or Oregon House?
Dobbins.
So it's
The
gonna
end of
be-
Indiana Ranch Road, the property at the end of the pavement.
Okay, so that'd be 3. So that's my division. So I'd be happy to take your call whenever you have a problem. I don't think you've ever called me.
You were here last year, weren't you?
I've been here several times, and I was here earlier this year too. I missed the July meeting because my daughter had twins, and I went to Arizona.
Didn't you said you had.
I had
calls
called-
with the
I left a message, I'm pretty sure it was on your, I
You
didn't
never
bring my
got a
notes in,
call
but,
back and you had.
I don't remember ever getting a call from you.
Yeah.
I think I remember the name.
nope,
So please,
I'll have it written
you
down.
could
but-
try the second time.
No, yeah, no problem. That's why I went on the website and left the message on the website. Because I thought, well, the person that answered the phone when I called the office wasn't Lorena, and usually she takes the calls when I call. And it was a man, and I didn't write down his name. But I just thought, well, you know,
It was probably lunchtime.
yeah, that's what I thought,
Right.
or she was out sick, or, you know, who knows, but
Jeremy answered the phone.
it was a
lots of
Jeremy,
times
that's
during
the
lunch.
name, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if it was Jeremy, but
And
yes.
this hasn't
Yeah.
going on since
He's
2016.
very polite, he does a great job, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He's
he
very
was, yeah,
responsive.
yeah, but again, he said, we'll get someone right out.
Yeah, I'll handle it. Let me know about it, I'll help you.
I've got pictures if you want to see them, I took
I
pictures
just wanna
this morning.
make sure that you're in my division, which I'm
What's
pretty sure
the
you are.
hell? You're in Division 2.
I'm sure, when I called the Yuba County tax assessor, and I called LAFCO, and they both told me that I was in District 2.
Terry, are you too?
Yes.
So it's possible that it's Terry's division, but since you live within.
The
shouting
problem is, I'm
distance
not a
of me,
customer. I don't ask for this water, I'm just being flooded out by it.
I
And
got
it
you.
gets really irritating.
You're
My
within shouting
concern
distance
is,
of me,
if you
so
guys
I'll take
pipe
it.
the whole ditch like this, and you haven't even controlled the little tiny experimental part you put above my property, it's concerning to me.
Okay.
I just
So let's-
think that you're
let's give
wasting
everyone a
time
fair
and money.
chance to talk. I appreciate it, so you guys will hook up. You-
Yep, we'll
okay,
hook
Thank
up.
you very much.
Good, okay. Buck Weckman.
Buck Weckman, 37-year residential customer of the district. Back on September 18th, I placed a letter to the editor of a local newspaper asking for Director Gretchen Floor to resign. To follow that up, I've outlined 6 bullet points here that I believe are reasons why she should resign. Give them to the board. I'm not gonna read them all, except the last one, because it does take a little clarification. And for ex-Gretchen Floor really doesn't understand what her job is here as the director. But it says that Director Floor recently made comments at a public hearing identifying herself only as a concerned Yuba County resident. Her comments were against a NYWD resolution that was passed by a majority vote of the NYWD Board of Directors. You know, once you get elected to these positions, you just can't disassociate yourself with the position you hold. And perhaps she doesn't understand that it takes a collaborative effort by a group of individuals to make improvements and to supervise, direct the organization. And that it's necessary for them to often make votes. And once they make a vote, majority, it's customary for all of the members to follow that direction, at least not say anything against it. And that's very difficult for an organization to operate under those circumstances. We also wanted to say that this goes on down to committees that you may be forming. And I would highly recommend the Director Floor not be placed on any of these committees. Because the message she sent last Friday to all the governing boards here in this county was that if they vote for something, if she's on a committee and that committee gets together, says this is the direction we want to go, and she disagrees, she's gonna go out publicly and protest against it. That will make them reluctant to work on a committee with an individual like that. So, that was the sixth bullet point. There's 5 others that are pretty clear in what she should resign for the good of this community. In my opinion, she's not just a blight on this committee, but on our whole community. It gives us a bad reputation. Thank you.
So I'd like to respond to that, and Mr. Weckman, thank you very much for your opinion. You're very open about your opinions, I appreciate that.
Let's,
I
tell you
don't,
what, let's do this, let's, not get into debate back and forth.
I'm
You
not
can-
going
you
to
can-
debate,
You can
I
bring
would
this up.
like to have a response.
You can do this during director's input.
No, I have other things to say during director's
We're
input.
not gonna get into debate back and forth.
This is not a debate, I have a response, it's a comment.
We're moving on. This is public comment. Thank you.
I think you got one more.
Okay.
Marike.
Marike?
I can't comment on what just happened right now because it's really weird. Really weird would be the thing to write down. I'm connecting to Carol. I'm here today to express 2 things. First, we had some water until yesterday, today, thanks to some work with Leona, some work with lots of work with Director Floor. We had, in our end of the ditch, we had probably 4 days of usable irrigation last month, for which I'm grateful for. I didn't expect anybody to advocate for us at all. It's interesting that our pipe is this high, the water level has been until this for most of the time, and some days it was up and then the pipe was usable, and most of the time it was like this. With the numbers provided by our manager that there's no water, and it can't happen, I'm surprised, surprised that there was water all that time, and it clearly did and could happen. So that's one. Second, Citron Way is growing water plants in the middle of the road. Because of leakage. Water
To make it
plants.
clear, it's leaking there also. Citron Way.
Water plants.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay.
Can I make a suggestion, please? I'm not on your, I just would like one quick suggestion, please. Now that it's almost the end of the irrigation season, I would highly recommend that the board direct manager Maupin to get in and fix all those pipes that he put in the ditch last year that are floating, that are leaking, because they're problematic. They were never installed correctly. And none of us, including my own property, want these leaks anymore next year. And now's the opportune time. And if he has the staff, he has extra people working, it would behoove us not to take advantage of fixing what the problem is.
All right. Item D, consent items. D1, approval of minutes for the regular board meeting of July 25th, 2019. D2, approval of minutes for special meeting of August 13th, 2019. D3, approval of payroll for the month of August 2019, in the amount of $46,536.22. D4, approval for the bills in the month of August 2019 in the amount of $81,871.01.
I move we approve the consent items.
I'll make a second.
Comments?
And the consent items seem to be broken apart, so we can discuss them individually.
I'd like to make an address to Director Mr. Hawthorne on minutes for the special meeting. I was not here, but I was fortunate enough, due to the lady at the end here taping it. I would like to make a comment, Mr. Hawthorne, on your comment. And your comment was that in the past, previous boards didn't really do a whole lot. Financially, they didn't get much done, and that this board currently is getting things accomplished. And I would like to correct you on that. I've sat on this board for over 23 years, and under 2 different managers, we lived with the $650,000 a year total budget. I think right now, 800 some thousand is just for salaries.
957.
957, thank you for the correction. We struggled to survive. There were times when the bills had to be put off at the end of the month to get to the next month. It is because of the 2005 agreement, which now I believe is over $38 million, that we are fortunate enough to have the revenues, that you all sit there with shirts with names on it, high fancy fluke and leather chairs, district trucks that aren't branded, which is really a concern. So I want you all to know that the manager who was before Maupin, because we did not have enough water, he chose to go to the 3rd tier. And because of that, please don't, let me finish, please. Because of that, we did run into having to pay power revenues. What that man did, he took a salary decrease. He decided to work 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, and took a huge salary decrease to pay the bills so the irrigation customers could have water. That is a man that stood for the district, and I do not want any comments saying the past
Thank you.
boards. Thank you. I'd like that corrected.
I'm not gonna comment on anything
Of course not.
about that.
You don't have to, it's fine. Yes, ma'am.
Donna Corson, 44 irrigation year customer, resident of Merritt. I know that you don't answer these questions, but there is something in the check writing review SFPP and 2005 agreement, water and engineering consulting for $5,100. Who was that check made out to? And was that approved by the board at any point in time and that we're not aware of? There's no name even for the check to who it was written to.
That would be Lawn House doing the audit on South Federal Water and Power.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Need a roll call, please? Roll call vote for consent items D 1, 2, 3, and 4.
President Hanser,
Yes.
Vice President Brown,
Yes.
Directors Nielsen, Director Hawthorne,
Yes.
and Director Floor.
No.
Item E, financial manager's report. Heidi is sick, she's out as well, so, we've been given, every one of us has it in our packet, the financials. Do we have any questions on that?
And they're available to the public if you need a copy for yourself.
How are they available to the public? Do they have to call Leona?
I would
and
like
ask
a
to make
copy.
Copy? They're not on the website?
Do we have some extra copies now, Leona?
Is it okay? Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I give it out to board packets when they come in and ask for it.
I reviewed them and they're consistent with our budget and with our
How
standard
many
bills. I
copies?
make a motion that we
15?
approve the manager's report.
15.
How many people want a copy of the financial report?
5, 6.
I made a motion.
Well, I actually have a number of questions. For example,
We have a
I
motion
think you'll have to
now.
talk,
We have a motion right now.
okay,
so you may have to talk to the financial manager about that, since none of us
Who
can
made the
answer.
Do we have a second? I did.
Terry, you made a motion.
I did. that we accept the consent items.
You
Then I'll
second.
second that.
I thought we were past the consent items,
we were.
and on the finance.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
fine.
we're
We're
fine.
fine.
Okay. I haven't made a motion on the financial.
Okay, I did.
I'll second.
Okay. Public?
Historically, we've always gotten our check from South Feather for our power revenues. That's usually cut in June at their board meeting and approved, and normally we have it in the July packet, which I did not see, the August packet, I did not see, and the September now. How much money did we get from South Feather, and why are we not reporting it?
It's unfortunate that you're asking that the very night that the finance manager's not here.
I didn't know that she was, those are questions I had already prepared to ask, but
Right.
Unfortunately, she's
None of us
not.
have that information right in front of us to answer you right now. Sir?
Israel Perla, irrigation customer, Oregon House. I used to come to all these meetings. Now I haven't come for a long time, so I know some of you. But as a person, I'm surprised actually to find out that I don't get the sense that this board studied the financial dealings. There is a lot of money circulating. I don't get the good sense that every one of you looked and paid attention where the money comes, where the money goes, and made a responsible decision about it. I would rather stay home knowing that here there are 5 adult responsible people taking care of my money. I'm sorry to say I don't get that sense.
Yes, ma'am.
Monique Frey. Just for the sake of it, it seems interesting to approve financial, what is it called? Financial manager's report without financial manager here, without a little lecture of you giving out papers in the last moment. I do expect you all to make a motion and to second it and to approve it, and God knows what is going to be in those papers. So I don't trust you guys. I'm so sorry.
There it is.
I still have a question.
I have a comment.
We're gonna continue on with the public comment. Anyone else? That was it. Okay.
this is just the table.
Go ahead.
So, we met here a couple times ago, there's been so many special meetings now, it's hard to remember. There was a contract that was, could you please stop beeping now?
No.
No, that's the timer. It's part of this. Please continue.
What do you mean, my question is on a timer for what, 3 minutes? Because this isn't director's input, this is discussion about the
Please
finance manager's
continue,
report.
Please.
Some time ago, I had brought it to the attention of this board that we have checks going out the door every month to a marketing firm for which we have no contract. We have no date on a contract, we have no maximum, no minimum, we have no deliverable, we have no idea what this person is actually doing for this district. A contract was brought before the board. It was supposed to be revised, it was supposed to come back. We still have billing from this same organization, but there is no contract. So why are we paying someone with no contract, no scope of work, no deliverables detailed, and what I do see being sent out is a newsletter that no public agency should ever put out. Please be aware that negative detractors of the district operate under the anonymity of names. This is a public agency, and there are going to be detractors, and that's just the way of it, and you don't put this on a newsletter. So if this is smart marketing, I hate to see what dumb marketing is all about. Not only that, but
Okay,
fire
your question-
protection.
Your question is in regards to the financials.
So why are
And
we
you're going
paying
off-
$1,100?
Excuse me, you're off topic right now.
Why are we
We're
paying
gonna continue.
$1,100 a month for someone who doesn't have a contract?
Continuing on, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I think it is a
Any-
good question.
Anyone else? Okay,
And I'd just like to say, Director Floor, we are working on revising that and creating a contract. We had one, a draft, and we're working with her on getting a final contract back to you.
And she's continuing to bill and do things without, okay?
We do have a budget line item for that.
which is approved by.
It has been approved by the board, so.
They've been doing it for
We're
2.5
not operating
years.
it.
How come you guys can jump in anytime but she can't? We're seeing a little
Excuse me.
problem.
We're talking as a board. You had your chance as a public to comment. Thank you. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
President Hansard,
Yes.
Vice President Brown,
Yes.
Director Nielsen,
Yes.
Director Hawthorne,
Yes.
Director Floor.
No.
Item F, board member comment policy, resolution number 19-737. Adoption of policy, a policy establishing a 3-minute time limit for each board member's comment on each action item on the agenda.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Comment.
So I don't understand what your goal is. What are you trying to accomplish? Because this, setting a 3-minute limit on every single thing a director says, is not about doing the work of this district.
Okay.
So
If
I'd
you'll
like to
read-
know
if you
what
read
this
through
is.
there, it does say the president can extend that time. This is
Sure.
strictly to limit when things start going down a track that is totally off topic and not benefiting the public or this board. That's where this will come into play.
This okay, may I finish?
Yes,
Thank you.
I answered your question, I hope.
That is actually not an answer to the question, because what that's done, and I'm very capable of reading this, and I thoroughly understand what this is saying. And what this is saying is that you will restrict everyone to 3 minutes. So ultimately, you have the power to restrict all discussion on any item. You have the ability to stop me from asking questions. You have the ability to stop me from asking a question in response to someone else's comment, and that's not a discussion. So the point is, the goal is not to keep things on track here. The goal seems to be something else. So I'd like a real explanation what the goal is, because there are many things that we discuss in the business of the district that's going to take longer than 3 minutes. And sometimes it takes people longer than 3 minutes to make their points. So you've already got this 3 minutes for director's input, you got that. Oh, and no handwritten materials to be handed out. So if I have something to give someone to help elucidate my point, I can't even give you that. So you've done that. So now you're doing it across the board. So now I can't walk in with a single piece of paper to give to you to help you understand what I'm trying to talk about or accomplish. I'm not allowed to give anything to the public either, even though this is their agency. So what are you accomplishing other than being completely untransparent and basically keeping the meeting to, 30 minutes? That is not how you conduct the board of a business. It's turning this board into a joke.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public. Yes, ma'am.
Apparently it was a joke because you laughed. Again. I can really only understand your need for control because delivery of water, delivery of fire protection, delivery of maintenance, of anything else than domestic water doesn't seem to be the board's forte. There are some people, and I have to admit, both irrigation directors, there are some people that are trying. It's very interesting to see you three domestic water directors turn into bulldozers. If Sacramento would work like this, the board meetings, government meetings are all done in 20 minutes, because you wanna get out of here and go play, where are we going? It only can work if you don't want to deal with the issues, you don't want to deal with each other, you don't want to deal with the public, you don't want to deal with reality, and you only want to deal with your attorney in the back room, and that's all you want to do with your manager in the back room. It doesn't sound good, it doesn't look good, and it doesn't feel good. I don't think it is good. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Chairman Henson, could you please try to not have little tension tantrums and bang your gavel at people and, put them down? It'll be more professional.
Yes, sir.
Buck Whiteman here again. This rule is necessary to suppress one individual that likes to.
We got word out. Wonderful.
Excuse me. We're gonna have, no one interrupted you, please give him the respect.
Sure.
That likes to use this board meeting as a filibuster rather than to produce results. I do not see 4 members of this board objecting to this resolution as necessary. Unfortunately, sometimes rules have to be instituted for those that abuse the situation. I don't like the 3-minute rule either, but you have a person and some others that abuse the situation and try to turn these meetings into a farce. You're doing a good job in trying to move forward, and I recommend you pass that resolution.
Donna Corson, Dobbins, California. I totally disagree with Mr. Weckman's assertion. The things that happen here should be business. It should not be limited to 3 minutes. There needs to be discussion. There needs to be involvement from each director. And Gretchen Floor is bringing a lot of things that we want as customers brought to your attention. So your denial is denying us, and we really do not appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Rory Fairline, irrigation customer. I want to continue from that and bring to your attention what you know is that Dr. Floor was elected by a bigger majority, I believe, than any one of the others. I didn't check the numbers, but I believe that that's true. Anyway, it was a big majority. So it's not me or anybody else. There was a big majority that elected her on a platform that says transparency, honesty, and irrigation water. I didn't see any misbehavior, and I want to say again, I've been on board, I participated on board, I'm a professional, yeah? And I have a doctorate degree also. So I know what I'm talking about. What are you afraid of? What is Mr. Wakeman afraid of? You are being, Mr. Wakeman, you are being polite here, but on the territorial, you wrote awfully.
Please
And
address us.
yeah, what Mr. Wakeman wrote, the board should say no one should speak like this publicly about an elected board member. You can express your opinion, you can object. Now back to the 3 minutes rule, which is what we are talking about. I expect you, the 5 of you, elected officials, to sit here and discuss openly things like what are we going to expend money on, not to stamp them. I
Or
want
roll
to
your
hear
eyes
the
when somebody
discussion.
brings something up.
That's what I expect as a public member, and that's what I voted for my representative to do. So I invite all of you to do. Everybody here is polite. I didn't see anybody here speaking not okay, or shouting, or beating. We don't need policemen here. They used to be. So to be a board, a discussion needs to be here on the matter, not rubber stamping. And we need more than 3 minutes for that.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Darlene Kearns, Brownsville. I just want to say that we have 2 factions there, opposing factions, and 2 factions out here. The board and everybody here in this room needs to work on a way to get along and to get things done. We can't keep going like this. It's costing us money. It's costing us money. Now, we have to hire somebody to circulate, you know, what Member Floor was just discussing a while ago. We have to have an attorney present. I mean, we have to go to expense that we wouldn't ordinarily have to go to. If this was a working, productive, cohesive body, we gotta work for that. That's really all I have to say, but, I mean, it's not gonna be an easy thing to do. But if you don't feel like you can work with it, then you ought to get out and let somebody else come in and replace you. But you have to, there has to be a cohesive board here, otherwise we're never gonna get anything done. We're just gonna wind up spending a lot of money. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I get a roll call vote for item F, board member comment policy resolution number 19-737.
President Hanser,
Yes.
Vice President Brown,
Yes.
Director Nielsen,
Yes.
Director Hawthorne,
Yes.
Director Floyd.
No.
Okay, so item G, general manager's report. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the report. Date September 19th, 2019. Subject monthly work production schedule and maintenance review. The following is an overview of the work performed this month by operations staff. Transmission. Item 1, Fordstown Ditch is still in its summer mode of bringing in water on a continuous basis. We are currently sending 22 CFS at SF14. 1.5 is being brought into the treatment plant pond. Item 2, South Feather Water and Power Authority is receiving 8 CFS at WD6 for their irrigation ditch. Item 3, 8 CFS are lost from SF14 to the Costa Creek diversion, which allows 4.5 CFS to be sent to Dry Creek for the Dobbins Organ House Canal. Distribution. Item 1, domestic meter reads for Fordstown and Challenge were completed on time. Item 2, there were 4 service line leaks this month. Video Busters, job number 453 at 8215 LaPorte Road. Job number 454 at 17053 Del Vale Way. Job number 455 at 18899 Arrow Way. And job number 462 at 8215. Item 3, there were 6 main line leaks repaired. Brown Lane, job number 456. Airport line job number 457 at 16727 New York House Road. Job 458. Number 1, Plow Valve on New York House Road, job number 460. And Jerry's Lane, job number 461. And Rainbow Lane lateral leak, job number 464. Water treatment plant. Item 1, the treatment plant is running normal at this time. There were no major issues at the plant for the last 30 days. And backflow. The second round of backflow testing notices were sent out and the results have come back as compliant. Regulators, item 1, all of the California Department of Health and National Pollution Discharge Elimination System tests and samples were taken and performed on time. These include 3 bacteriological distribution samples for the CDPH, which came back as non-detect. Dobbins Organ House Canal. Additional cutback number 3 was implemented. Everyone is at 1 minor's inch or less. We are now at 66.5 minor's inches total, 4.5 CFS is production. 60% losses is 2.7 CFS, leaving 1.8 CFS available. The consumption is 1.482 CFS. I will add to this that the last customer on 03 has no water at this time. This is a private pipeline with several customers. Scheduled maintenance, item 1. The scheduled maintenance for the treatment plant, regulators, local, state, and federal, and the UFC. The generator was test ran, etc. All regulatory reports were submitted or are in process. The upper Forbstown ditch is being patrolled, trash racks cleaned, fallen trees removed, and holes repaired as they are found. Any questions? Public?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, in all of that, I didn't hear anything about my address. Was there was no one sent to go check out my report?
I don't have an answer for that. I am just simply reading the report, basically sitting in for the general manager
I'll
to
get
get
your
it to the
answer.
public. I wanted you guys to hear the whole
All right,
report.
my phone number, they have my phone number in the office. If you could just give me a call back and let me know if someone was sent out, what their, discussion was.
Okay.
You bet.
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize for my earlier enthusiastic response. I'm trying to be polite, like everybody else. My point was also right away, just like the lady next to me. I hear in the report, job number this, job number that. I hear maintenance jobs only on the domestic. I would really encourage you guys to direct your manager as a board to start doing maintenance jobs on the ditches. Or to even know about them, have them in the record, that I'm complaining for the 4th time this year publicly about Citron Way being a pond. Citron Way was a road. One could go up there with a truck. This is no longer the case. You can't really swim, but there are frog ponds in the middle of the road. Some gunite or cement was put instead of plastic. This did not solve any problems. It was done maybe in March, I don't exactly remember. So to not hear that on maintenance reports is a disappointment.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
This particular shiny folder that was, I think, sent out to the domestic customers.
I'm not a customer and I got one.
Oh, you did, okay, anyway, there is mention in here,
I'm gonna stop you right there. That's off topic for what we're
actually, this was
discussing.
something I was gonna address to the manager, remember I told you I needed to talk to the
Right, the
manager.
manager's not here. You're gonna have to, I can't answer for him.
Oh, I don't want you to answer me, I wanna make a comment. This is a comment about what was put in this thing about the Oregon House Dobbins Water Association. I take that very,
Again, I'm gonna stop you because that is not in the manager's report. That is what you're commenting on, the general manager's report. Am I correct? Thank you.
I think that when he speaks, anybody can address him about an
We're
issue.
gonna move on. He's not here.
So who do I address this to today?
The general manager. If that's who you would like to speak to,
Well, I'll speak to you guys instead.
I would just say she reserved this time from the open public comment period. I would consider this part of the initial.
So should I do it next month?
No, you should do it
No,
now.
you
You
should
said
just
you
do
was
it
doing it
now.
all the time.
I just think it fits under, and she put her name in to do, you
Hold on.
properly should have been done right at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, I didn't understand that. What I'm saying is I take great offense, and so do the over 50 members of the Oregon House Dobbins Water Association, that this district is calling us distractors. Last year in 2018, when Oregon House and Dobbins was denied water, when in May, over 80 CFS were going under the Taco Bell Bridge, this district, by having 14 members of our association in less than a month's time of us forming, went to see Congressman Garamendi, and this district received $75,000 grant from our organization meeting with Mr. Garamendi and getting the grant to put those faulty pipes that he screwed up in our ditches. take a great offense, and actually I am requesting a retraction from our association. Because if not, this is culpable and I will not accept it. We are not detractors. Our vision is to see that we get our water in Oregon House. We did not do anything wrong. We have not been involved with any of the grant stuff. Our mission is for water and keeping our water flowing for the families, the friends, the farmers, and for irrigation and for fire in Oregon House and Dobbins. That's our mission, and we stick to that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Need a motion to accept the general manager's report,
I'm gonna wait for the general manager's report.
and I'll second that. Okay, roll call, please.
President Hansard,
Yes.
Vice President Brown,
Yes.
Director Nelson,
Yes.
Director Hawthorne, Director
Yes.
Floor.
I'm abstaining because he's not here to ask questions, so I'm not going to vote anyway. And please put that in the record.
All right, thank you. Item H, director's input. Okay, let me read this real quick. Directors may make brief announcements or reports for the purpose of providing information to the public or staff or to schedule a matter for a future meeting. The board cannot take action on any matter not on the agenda and will refrain from entering into discussion or constitute action, direction, or policy until the matter is placed on the agenda of a properly publicized and convened board meeting.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment about the achievements of this board this year and the last 2.5 years before that. We achieved something this last week recently that's been on the board's agenda for 50 years, essentially, since about 1962, when they started the irrigation business and the domestic business up in Brownsville to provide irrigation water to Dobbins and Oregon House customers. And we've initiated that progress right now, and we have the engineering drawings accepted. We're gonna continue to work on whatever might be a problem with any of the engineering drawings. But we should be able to start construction on the Forbstown ditch pipeline system. It'll take about 3 years for it to be completed. But what'll happen when that's over is we will return the irrigation water to the pre-2005 agreement levels. So that's the objective in piping the Forbstown ditch. And it'll let us to expand to more customers, both in the irrigation system and in the domestic system. That's what this board's been working on mostly for the last couple of years. And I also want to make a comment that we probably had the best irrigation season that we've had for several years in Dobbins and Oregon House because of the work of the district field crew and the customers that have a problem calling in and communicating. So I think I'm very happy with the fact that we have had a comparatively good irrigation season. So that's the two things that I think we are proud of and we can hang our hat on. And there's a lot of other things that are not so important, but they're important. And we wish to continue to have that dialogue. But it's not all black, it's not all terrible and dark on the board side, even though it's put up to be that way by some of the folks that come to the meetings. That's all.
It's a good example that more than 3 minutes are needed.
Excuse me. We're timely, we're under control here. Anyone else?
Yes. Kathy, I have a quick question. Do you maintain the audio files of these meetings?
Yes.
Do you possibly have them all the way back to when you first started?
Yes.
Because I'd like to get copies of those, please, all of them. Also, so a couple things. I'm gonna go back to this thing. Again, this board absolutely should not be letting something like this go out. As a public agency, there are always gonna be detractors, and you just have to ignore it, number one. Number two, you don't go around and identify groups of the public as detractors. That is not okay from a public agency. There's also something that's completely inaccurate here. Is irrigation water for fire protection? No. Okay, that is not true. If you haven't read permit 1270, then you should read that permit, because it says right here,
What's
the
that permit
purpose-
for?
Dry Creek Waters, which is irrigation water.
And when is that concluded in the typical summer?
Could I finish without being interrupted?
Dry Creek water is
May I
essentially
finish?
gone by the
May
middle
I
of
finish?
July.
Let's stop.
Okay,
Let's stop.
that's
Continue.
perfect.
Continue with, she's on the clock, go ahead. Continue.
You're gonna need to go back because he interrupted and it cost me at least
I'll
5 to 10
adjust.
seconds.
I'll adjust. Continue, please.
This is permit 1270, which is our Dry Creek Waters. And this was, this says very clearly at the top, it's for the purpose of irrigation and fire protection. Fire protection, it's written right there, okay? Now, the other thing is that this water district applied for a grant. And one of the reasons they justified the grant was because the water was needed for fire protection. So if the water's not allowed to be used for fire protection, then that was not true on the grant application, now was it?
The
So,
grant's not for Dry Creek.
Let her finish. Continue.
no, I think I'm done because apparently I can't say anything without being interrupted. So I will finish there and next time I will simply say what I wanna say in the newspaper. Thank you. It's great working with all of you.
Can I explain
Yeah.
something?
Go ahead.
The permit for fire protection
It's a license.
That's more than 3
Excuse
minutes.
me.
Excuse me.
is a,
Let me
Sorry.
address, I don't need any input from the audience right now. He is timing this and he has it under control.
Got it.
Thank you. Continue on.
the fire protection part of the permit is for Dry Creek water, which is usually gone about mid-July, when the fire season begins. So for years, we've been providing other water that we buy and use in an alternative system to provide that for fire protection. In other words, the SF-14 water, whose permits doesn't say anything about fire protection, we've used that water for years and given it to the irrigation customers anytime they want it, or the fire department to use for fire protection. So it isn't true that we don't care about fire protection. The contrary is actually true.
Okay, I'd like to reclaim my time. Thank you, I'm reclaiming my time. So this is a license, it's not a permit, and as you mentioned, the grant isn't for Dry Creek. It's for the Forbes-Town ditch, and it is saying that that water's gonna be used for fire protection. So what's in this flyer is wrong, number one. Finally, please let me finish. Mr. Weckman, I will put your fears to rest. First of all, I will not resign. Secondly, there are no committees at North Yuba Water District, and in fact, when I came here to my first meeting in January, I proposed about 4 different committees, because there are none. I proposed a finance committee, a bill paying committee, an advisory committee, and a public outreach committee, and I was told by Mr. Hawthorne that this water district does not do committees, ever. And it's in the minutes, and it's on the video. So I really want you to feel comfortable that I will not be serving on any committees, because this district doesn't have committees. But I will not be resigning, because the people elected me, and I'm here to do my job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other directors have any input?
The fire protection and irrigation on a license is an allowable use. It's on every license out there, allowable. Allowable is not required use. If we choose to use it that way, we're allowed to use it that way. We can't use it in another way if it's not listed as an allowable use. 2013, Jenny brought that exact license up to the board at that time with the same argument. And at that time, the lawyer who was sitting here, and by the way, this is before we were on the board, that lawyer said specifically that the license allows the use for water. Our policy says we can't guarantee that that water's there. And that's really all we
are saying. We can't guarantee it's there. He at that time suggested that it stay the same way, the wording on our policy be the same as it is currently. And he said for liability reasons. If we say it's for fire and a fire burns and there's no water in the ditch, we can't open SF-14. If there was no water in the ditch, the Cascade fire came through, you open up the SF-14 and you'll have something to wash the ashes off of your concrete slab. We can't get the water there in time. So in 2013, that was stated at a meeting where they were looking into the policy, and the policy as it currently existed, or exists now, was okayed back then in light of the fact that the lawyer said we can't guarantee it's there. And there's a blog that I wrote that I list out every version of the irrigation policy from about 1980 forward. Read it, but check up. Come back and say, did I do it right? Did I make the right things? Do your research. But it's an allowable use.
For the purpose of irrigation and fire protection,
It's an allowable use.
it's a beneficial use.
Yes, but it's not a required use.
Let's move on. You've reached your time. Okay. Public comment on director's input. Yes, sir.
In response to Director Nielsen, I wrote a letter a few months ago to our supervisor, county supervisor, and to all of you. It's very short. I would like, you don't have to answer, but I would like to ask each 5 of you if in good conscience you can say that you are doing everything you can from the point of view of North Yuba Water District to supply water for fire, especially in light of the fires of the last few years. You don't need to answer. I just want you to think about it. If, as a director here, you did all you can in good conscience that there is water for fire prevention, and it can help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Sir.
There is a difference between irrigation water and domestic water. Right now, all us domestic customers enjoy an ISO rating, which is Insurance Services Organization. By rating that water system, and we enjoy, I think, about a 6 rating if we're in the hydrant area. And what you've been talking about as far as the irrigation system is absolutely correct. ISO, for instance, will not rate an irrigation system because it cannot guarantee the water. So, you know, you guys are to be commended for many years in providing those of us in the residential area with a lower insurance rate for your water system. Thank you.
Yes.
You know, it occurs to me, we have 1,500 people waiting for irrigation water. They have not been served. We pay 2/3 of the beginning tax, basically 2/3 of the taxes that supported this district before the 2005 contract. When this whole beginning started, the district, it was irrigation. It wasn't domestic. So you're managing to twist it all around and make it completely domestic by eliminating the 1,500 people that are paying taxes still, and don't shake your head, I'm talking. I am talking, do not interrupt me. We need to be respected and we need to be addressed. We have irrigation customers waiting who are paying taxes for 30 and 40 years.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just as for your information, since the manager's not here, last month you guys made the decision to serve Arrow Pines. They're supposed to be coming back with their annexation, and I don't want that to slip by because that is a policy that needs to be addressed. Just a little FUI to put in the minutes. So Mr. Maupin remembers he needs to take care of that. And then the other thing, I'm understanding the fire board in Dobbins is now looking again at the Siller project. And I understand Soper Wheeler's looking at their 5,000-acre project for domestic service, which is now understandable, the pipes that Maupin talked about going up the hill and other places. These people are first.
What, let me
These-
interrupt you. Does this tie into the director's input? What topic on the director's input are you referring to?
Any of all of it.
No, we're moving on.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just address the we are working with the Aeropines. We've
Good.
got their we just recently got their information.
Thank you.
This
It
week.
needs to be definitely on the books.
We are working on it.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I think Mr. Weckman is correct, that the domestic component of the water district and the ag use component of the water district. And the domestic, component is a higher profit center than the ag use. So it costs, there's a subsidy going on. Now, the water from South Feather helps balance that out, but so it makes sense for the water districts to develop its domestic user over the ag user, because it makes more money for the district. It's a higher profit for them.
Not with taxes, Charles,
Anyone else?
all your property taxes,
Okay.
forgotten.
All right. Item I, closed session. So we're gonna go into closed session at 6:02.
Any comments on closed session?
Oh, yeah. Any comments on closed session before we go into?
Why are we going into closed session?
Okay, closed session is conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9C.
What does that mean, that code?
That's just a reference to the Brown Act that gives you, it's a government code section that allows this entry. It's just the Brown Act government code section.
But what is it specifically addressing, that particular code?
This, the right to put this into closed session.
Okay.
Any others? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have to leave.